afternoon, everyone. And thanks to Deccan Herald for this really important panel. I'm sure many of us struggled to get here today. The MC said, we're discussing something that's perhaps the most important issue and threatening to quality of life in our city today. And can Bengaluru get out of its traffic mess? We do have 4 stellar panelists to discuss this with. Bengaluru's mobility is in a crisis today, be it traffic movement, be it walkability, be it the public transport that is struggling to catch up, and land and planning because homes and jobs are just too far apart. It is estimated that our city has a population of around 1.2 crore people. But the worrisome thing is our private vehicle registration is also at 1.2 crore. This means if you take roughly, if Bangalore has, say, assuming 12,000 kilometers of roads, we expect every kilometer of road to support close to 1,000 vehicles. And now with reduction in GST and increase in buying powers, this is exponentially set to increase, especially in the two-wheeler sector. An average Bangalorean loses around 72, let's say 7 days in a year in traffic. 7 days, that even half of that we could spend in so many other pursuits in terms of productivity as well as time with family. Estimated loss to our GDP is 2%, which is 5.92 billion USD per year. This is due to congestion, accidents, loss in productivity, as well as air quality issues. So it's not just an economic issue. Our traffic mess is also an air quality issue. It's also an equity issue. It's really our quality of life. So jumping right in, and I'll start with you, Mr. Rao. We can't wish the traffic problem away. I can't wish cars away. Do you think, and this is a long-term question, do you think Bangalore will be able to disincentivize private vehicle ownership through policy like a Denmark or a Singapore? Or the second part of the question, can we disincentivize private vehicle usage through congestion tax and others?
Hello everyone, and thank you for calling me to be a part of this important discussion. Of course, Bangalore has to think ahead and find long-term solutions and find solutions which I think we have seen being implemented in other cities in the world. So the things that you just mentioned, like congestion tax, these are the things which can disincentivize private usage of private transport. So the growth of Bangalore is something which is astounding. And if you remember Bangalore, how it was 30 years back or 40 years, or when I was in school and college, that has totally changed. And that is it's been the fastest growing city, and it is still growing at a rapid rate. So I think we need to understand that we need solutions. And so how do we do it? I think, like you said, the time has come for us to actually start working on how we can bring in these kind of solutions. One, which you said was congestion tax. The other is how we can make parking itself something which needs to be addressed in terms of, we can't allow free parking for everybody around the city. So there has to be a mechanism of pay and park. Also, how do we bring in that policy? And we see even in Bengaluru, how we can, like they have in Singapore, where there's electronic pricing for different areas as you move around. So how do we bring that in? Or how do we bring in taxes where, suppose if you're having multiple cars, if you've got one, if you're buying a second car, tax increases. If you're buying a third car, the tax increases. Or we can bring in solutions like, do you have the space to park your vehicle if you're buying a car? You've got to show proof of space for the vehicle that you're buying. So these are the things that I think we need to start bringing in one by one. Of course, nothing is easy, but I think Bengaluru has to be the city which is good. It's going to be good only for Bengaluru, because Bengaluru around the world is known for its being the IT city and science city and the Silicon Valley. But also we are world over known for our traffic jams and long hours on the road. So, and the city is growing, so it's our responsibility, I think, now to see that, okay, we've got the technology, we have the the infrastructure to do these things human resource and the knowledge for that. So I think these are the things that we need to definitely address. And I would suggest that, government, though I'm not the minister now, I'm the health minister, so I'm not in any position to give you any sort of assurance. But I would like to say that this is something that the time has come. Congestion, parking, and and even plan sanctions, everything needs to be addressed in terms of whether do we have the space for that, and pay and park, all those things. So long-term solutions, I think these are the long-term solutions. Of course, public transport has to extend its services, better, more number of buses, increase the metro. And yes, it is, I think I know what Mr. Ashwath might say, why are you building the tunnel and encouraging private transport? But I think we need solutions for all. And it doesn't mean that we don't have any solutions for, traffic movement. So let's start working on that. And the time has come, and I agree with you, we need to start now.
Thank you. That's very heartening. I mean, keeping away from the short-term solutions like the tunnel, but looking forward to a 2040 Bangalore where all of us think twice before buying a vehicle. Moving to you, Dr. Narayan, Malleshwaram is one of Bangalore's oldest neighborhoods, residential, commercial. It has the metro. It's also known, especially in the commercial areas, for its congestion. What do you think are the steps to make a constituency like Malleshwaram a 15-minute city, to create more jobs, reduce travel distances, and make it truly walkable?
It's probably at present the Malleshwaram locality or the constituency, we have some commercial space now, like Brigade Gateway or the Narayan Mall or the WTC and the Mantri Mall. Except for these few spaces and surrounding Hebal area, we have now a lot of office spaces. Probably earlier we had very less office spaces. Now we have been surrounded by more office spaces. As such, in Malleshwaram constituency, we don't have much of office spaces, but probably it needs a complete revamp of a policy that requires a lot of planning, a lot of homework. We need to come out with a land pooling system. The present system, we have very small plots. The small plots are not having the capacity to come out with a new office spaces or a commercial. Even the road doesn't permit. Probably we have a lot of limitation as a constituency, but we can ensure, at least the basic necessities of the people with regard to the schooling, hospital services, market space. People can walk around. Probably walkable footpaths. We need to ensure there should be a walkable footpath. Now footpath is encroached by each and every person. It's a free for all. As a system, we are not able to protect the footpaths. Footpath has become a no man's land. Do what you want. Nobody is going to ask you. So everybody has got their own opinions. Each person has got his own opinion. Probably we need to have a lot of clarity. Probably many people make use of private vehicles. The senior citizen, the children, senior citizen and women are completely at disadvantage. They don't have much of private vehicles, but they need to make use of the footpaths. Probably their concern is not been addressed very strongly. We need to take up very seriously the poor man, because they make use of the public transport system. So we need to make very clear, footpath is one space, there's no compromise. Let it be anybody. There are many excuses, this vendor, that vendor. See, many rehabilitation has taken place in Malleshwaram. If you ask me, there's many rehabilitation has happened in many decades. Malleshwaram market, old market, new market, Yeshwanthpur market, RTO market. Many spaces have been built. Again and again, as you clear, we'll keep getting new vendors also on footpaths. And along with that, BESCOM, many other agencies, they all encroach. footpaths. So we need to address. And along with this, we are not asking for big things, as all of us know. We need to immediately prioritize, since metro is their feeder services. The feeder services, immediately it should be prioritized. The simplest thing, since my friend's government, our government also, but now we will tell Congress government. Government belongs to each one of us. The Congress government now, they have come out with 1 crore, 40,000 crores plans. We expect them to spend few hundred crores, if they are able to spend, immediately their government popularity will increase. Even then, it's a Congress government. We don't mind Congress getting a popularity if they can address immediately the issues and let them provide feeder services. At present, whatever buses are not sufficient, let them increase the number of buses. If they're able to provide the feeder services, probably your earlier question, incentivizing the cars. If the public transportation system, if it is in place, the last mile connectivity is in place, generally, who likes to drive the car? Who likes to drive a bike? It is so risky. Driving a bike, you can't even assure he is going to come back safely. It is so risky. Traveling in a two-wheeler, it is unsafe, and there's no parking place. Now, if you ask me about the disincentives, petrol price has been increased, diesel price has already been increased, and pay and park, and there's no parking space. And nobody wants to drive their own vehicle. Already they have been disincentivized, and we are not against any cars, because car is somebody's dream or somebody wants to make use of it. Let them use. We are not against any projects. To be very frank with you, we are not against any project. We are for public transportation to be strengthened. The first priority is the public transportation system. If it is strengthened, everything will fall in place. Roads automatically will become free. Many cities, we have seen many cities which can be done, and it is very easy. Only thing is how we give priority. Let us give the priority.
Thank you so much. From touching on long-term solutions like land pooling to medium-term investments in public transport to short-term walkability and
whatever I mentioned, it is immediate short-term only.
So my leading question to you on the land pooling, which I found very interesting, is what would your advice to the newly formed 5 municipal corporations be so that they can densify and create more it doesn't make sense if I live in Jayanagar but I have to work in Madiwala, or I live in Hebbal and I have to work in Electronic City. What can each municipal corporation do to make more walkable cities now?
Some of the most important domains which the corporations are managing, like education, which is not their domain expertise, to cut down the cost if they can hand over to the government. Healthcare, which is not their domain expertise. Hardly there is any proper structure or services, doctors, drugs. It's all the way, a lot of shortcomings are there. We keep discussing, even with Dinesh. We can discuss more reforms. We can be more open about it. Even the healthcare can be handed over to the government, because cities now most of the time managed by the whatever finance generated by property tax and some other non-tax revenue like plan sanction and all other revenue, which is not good enough, because we are not being complemented or supported by the state budget. State budget, whatever revenue is generated from here, hardly we get any money. Even to breathe in Bengaluru, we need to pay. So probably for all services, we will be paying heavy money. At least to get the benefit from the government, let all the healthcare services be handed over to the health department, to the state government. Even the education, let it be handed over. And along with this, if you see the number of wards, it is increased from 198 wards to 369. The present 198 wards itself, we don't have the staff. There are short of engineers, there are short of Paura Karmikas. Possibly we have shortage of all manpower. for which for the present 198 itself, they are not able to provide the required manpower. Providing for 369 is too costly. If they can, already they have divided 5, which we are against, that is one part. But at least they can reduce the number of wards to bring down the cost. Probably even Dinesh will agree, if they bring down the number of wards, probably number of staff of the government, the BBMP staff strength can be reduced and the cost can come down. And whatever work is being executed by BBMP, if the quality is good, they can sustain for 10 years, 15 years. If the quality of work is not good, we need to rework, redevelop again once in 3 years, 5 years, 3 years. So the cost keeps increasing. We need to ensure whatever work is executed with a lot of coordination between various agencies. If coordination is there, with utility being addressed before we take up any development work, if there is a coordination between the various parastalls like BESCOM, BWSSP, and all the telecom departments and GAIL, so we can ensure. Otherwise, what happens, all the utilities pass through all the places, and people also keep complaining. Once the asphalt is done, again they're digging. So these kind of coordination issues are there. If you are able to coordinate, bring down the cost, definitely we can bring down. Spending is not how many thousands of crores has been spent to the corporation is not important. How efficiently the money has been spent, and accountability is there, transparency is there, very important. Probably in this direction, we need to take it very seriously, and we automatically, gradually, the money will come down. Otherwise, our Bengaluru residents will be bearing the brunt. They have to pay more and more property tax. As and when the expenditure increases, who is going to pay? The citizens. So now itself, the cost is so high with regard to the solid waste management, cess, user fee. You will be surprised if you see the user fee charge, it is as good as property tax. So these are the real shortcomings, and we need to look into it. And I think definitely, even if, since we don't have a corporation, we are not able to present, we need to talk in the floor of the house. If we take up in the floor of the house, what happens?
Just want to bring the discussion back to mobility a little bit.
Yeah. No, regarding the same, you were asking about the corporation. Since you asked about the corporation, how to bring down the cost. So by making it viable, bringing down the cost. So I am not here to politicize anything. No, definitely no. We need to speak responsibly. Definitely I'll speak responsibly. And we will not create any scene here. And how best we can make our corporation, since both of us represent Bengaluru, protecting the Bengalurians' interest is our paramount importance. So probably in this direction, we can bring down the cost, ensure the efficiency.
Thank you. So I think an important highlight from what Dr. Narayan said is fragmentation in governance, and perhaps why certain things don't work is we don't know whose responsibility things are. So to you, Professor Verma, whose responsibility is this traffic mess? And what do you think should be the role of the traffic police?
Thank you, Nitya, for having me, and also to the Deccan Herald group for inviting me to this important event and the session. First thing I would say is that, when you talk about urban mobility and deal with urban mobility, it's actually a classic domain of complexity science. It's a complex system, and especially when we start looking at mobility in the context of quality of life and livability, as you also described in your opening remark. And there's a lot that mobility does when it comes to the quality of life of cities. If you really search for most livable cities and try to understand the reasons why they are most livable, you would find the travel options and choices people take on those cities have a lot to do why those are most livable cities. So that's the important point. But in actual, the way urban transport function is being handled, fragmentation is one thing, and second is the approach. It looks very simple to anybody to solve it, and which basically leads to a lot of ad hoc thinking, unscientific thinking in the way we look at solving traffic issues in our cities. And I've coined this as a term that I call it as ABCDM approach. Yeah, so it's ABCDM approach, and what I describe it as, anybody can do mobility. Yeah, so I feel this approach, the way urban transport is being handled and looked at, and the lack of capacity in our urban local bodies, including the way we handle traffic management, is basically a result of what we are seeing in terms of the chaotic situation and the degrading sustainability, livability and resilience of our city, including Bengaluru. And before anybody takes offense of what I'm saying, I would like to define this ABCDM term approach. That's what professors do. Is as an approach where an organization, whether it is government or non-government, or an academic program, inducts professionals of any degree, discipline or background, and translates all of them into mobility experts. Yeah. So it's like artificial neural network, that you input something, but in terms of output from the organization in the hidden layer, what you get is mobility expert. Unfortunately, in the organizations that are handling urban transport, not just Bangalore, most of the Indian cities, we are seeing a situation where this ABCDM approach is essentially being adopted. So from this point of view, I have been pitching about two fundamental reforms in last few years. One is to bring a dedicated urban transport service cadre in the country, both at national level, at central level through UPSC, and also state cadre through PSC, in state PSC, through which people with right background, right training and right knowledge would get into these urban local bodies that are handling the function of urban transport, and thereby would bring more scientific approach in looking at urban transport function. This is something I feel is extremely important. We do have such urban specialized cadres in the country for, say, telecom service, for railway service. It's high time that we bring it for urban transport. Likewise, when you think about traffic and handling traffic, there are two aspects of it: traffic management and traffic law enforcement. Both are two different things. And I personally feel and strongly feel, and through my background experience, that traffic management should not be something that police should do. In fact, all of you would be surprised that nowhere else in the world general police actually plays any active role in traffic management. We have created a unique system where somebody who was catching criminal yesterday comes into traffic cell and starts handling traffic, and by the time they understand anything, they're again back to catching criminals. This is not the way a very complex and technical subject of traffic management can be handled. So what you need is people coming from this service cadre should get into a dedicated organization meant to handle not just transport planning, but also traffic management, with the active role of these officials who have right knowledge and background. I think these are few fundamental changes when we need in how we are handling urban transport function. Otherwise, this ABCDM approach would keep killing our cities and bring them down in terms of sustainability, livability, and resilience. Thanks.
Thank you. We may be outnumbered here, but I second Professor Verma in saying, perhaps it's not a police person's job to handle traffic. We have traffic management professionals, urban designers, and many others. My follow-up question to you is on public transport, which is to solve Bangalore's traffic mess, what are the 3 steps we need to do, Bangalore needs to do in short and medium term in terms of public transport to help?
Yeah, so, as Gundu was also saying, that we need solutions for all. And when we say, tunnel road is unscientific or you should not have double decker, it's not really to say that car owners and car users should suffer. That's not what they intend. What we are really trying to say is we need to bring equilibrium of what share of trips happen on different modes. And when that equilibrium occurs and when that equilibrium happens, every mode user, including car users, would have their desired level of service for traveling. That's actually the intent. So it's not really that car is the enemy. But essentially, the point is what share of trips actually goes on car or personal vehicles and what share should goes. So if you really take the best practices and how do you understand sustainable mobility and livability, Bangalore should have at least 80% of all trips, daily trips, happening on public transport, walking, cycling, and rest on the other modes, including cars and two-wheelers. That's the kind of equilibrium of modal share that I'm looking at. And to achieve that equilibrium, whatever is required in terms of policy, in terms of planning, what kind of infrastructure and the share of infrastructure that we need to induct or bring in, so that we see that we achieve this equilibrium modal share. And when that equilibrium modal share, even the car users who are still using cars, that left out 10%, 15%, would also have a very good level of service, which is what you actually see in Singapore and other cities who have really brought that equilibrium of modal share. So this is really how I feel that we need to focus our interventions and the amount of budget and funding that we invest and capacity that we create. Then only we'll be really able to see a more sustainable and livable Bangalore.
Yeah. Now to you, Ms. Reddy, you run a not-for-profit that is focused on civic engagement and sustainable mobility. What are two pathways for sustainable mobility that Bangalore needs to look at in the medium term?
Yeah, can everyone hear me? Okay, great. So, all the distinguished panel had, their point of view. And before this, I came a little ahead, and everyone was talking about, different industries and different problems that our city has, etc. I always think of this, right? And is why can't we look at a city like a living organism? How? Why? Because we can also argue and say Bangalore was built so long ago, but we are continuing to build, we're continuing to add infrastructure, we're continuing to, even in an individual capacity, we're building homes, moving homes, a lot of movement is happening. So I like to look at it as a living system, and the living system encompasses within itself the three important elements that any city needs, right? The first one is Bangalore city has a great entrepreneurial ecosystem. The entrepreneurs here have solved such interesting, pressing issues, and so quickly they've also turned them around to become sustainable businesses, generating their own revenue, etc. Then we have technology, and with all that technology, we are sitting on a pile of interesting data. Today, Bangalore city's data can tell us which roads are congested, when they will be congested, where footpaths need to come up, where we need to fix the footpaths first, because people are more likely to walk on those streets versus there are some streets where people are more likely to use public or private transport. And then the last ecosystem that is so proactive in our city is communities. We come together to do a lot. Arun sir is one such example where he mobilizes so many people to come walk, and then other organizations also where people have come together to measure, map the city's roads in a few weeks, which would have otherwise taken us so long. So we have this beautiful ecosystem. Why don't we? I'm proposing that we create an innovation district where we take like a pilot area where we come together, bring all the ecosystems together. So we have even investors, research, academia, and then all these solutions to come together in this melting point and give pilots. And those pilots that are working should be adopted everywhere else, in every other constituency, for example, right? And if Bangalore city can build services for the world, can't we build services to solve for our own city's problems and then thereby take those to other cities, right? So I feel like we are in that point where we have the capabilities, we just need the innovation district to come together, and that to be our medium and long-term solution. Because you started by mentioning Denmark and Singapore. those cities they were not built in a day. They had this really long plan. Singapore once projected that in 25 years we're going to run out of water, but they solved for water in 5 years before they would run out of water because of continuity and this melting point of innovation districts that they had. I think that's what we need, and we have all the resources. We just need the will to build this innovation district. Just like, if we were to build, say, if you want to solve for pressing biotech challenges, we have biotech incubation, acceleration centers. We need a city lab, if I may say that.
Okay, thanks. I think it's been really good to hear from all of you on long-term solutions, like what the minister said, the incentives and disincentives, and on walkability and planning better, and making sure our governance is not so fragmented, to traffic management, to community and entrepreneurship engagement. If I could now just go around very quickly amongst all of you on a short-term question, right? Because we also have to solve this problem now and today while we wait to do it long and medium term. If you all had magic powers, one magic power each, what would you do to solve for Bangalore's traffic today in the short term? If we could just go in line, it would be great, starting with you, Professor.
I'll just focus on two quick things, not one. One is, bus systems actually holds a lot of promise in providing quick solutions and at the same time more sustainable approach. I think if we really focus on scaling the fleet size of bus operations in the city, BMTC, it really needs a big scale, up. The fleet size has remained stagnant for a couple of decades already. And have a more scientific rationalization of their services, both routes as well as schedules, coupled with introducing priority on the movement of buses. I think this would really make a very good impact on improving the speed or reducing travel time with buses, using buses, plus the reliability. And this would have a very positive effect on attracting more rides on public transport. This could really be done in a short manner, plus simple junction improvements through channelization, low cost, channelization and proper scientific timing design of signals. I think these things can do. But I'll just say one thing, since our elected, representatives are here, both Ashwath Narayan ji and Gundu ji, that Bangalore, of course, while we look at solving its issues and problems, let's also focus on the rest of the Karnataka, the Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. And if we can really take one city in Tier 2 and one city in Tier 3 and really build them, and building upon what Gayatri ji said, take them as living lab, the whole city as living lab, and use all scientific methods and principles, and we are ready to collaborate with government hand to hand till we see the end, and develop them as model cities of sustainable, livable and resilient. If we really take that initiative, build one model example in Tier 2 and one in Tier 3 city, I'm sure, this could then have a cascading effect also. Yeah, thanks.
Just your magic power.
Yeah, magic, I don't know whether magic is, we can do magic, but we can try and do something. And I think one thing which I would say is that we should unclutter the roads of Bangalore and the footpaths of Bangalore. I think that is something which is a short-term, doable work. Management is not just about traffic, it's also management of people. It's mobility of vehicles and people. So, Ashwath was referring to that. Footpaths, make sure that people can walk on the footpath. See that there is no encroachment on the footpath. Roads, we have vehicles parked on roads for months and some maybe for years. The road is occupied by some cars. So how do we get all those things removed? So the existing space needs to be available to our people, whether for vehicles or for walking around. So towing of vehicles, our commissioner is here, so he wants to start towing of vehicles which was there before. That is most important. Get those vehicles which have been there for the longest time out of the way. Some of them are gathering dust. it's becoming a eyesore, plus it becomes a black spot. And encroachments on footpaths. Make sure that whatever encroachment, remove it as much as possible that people can walk. And that I think will be an immediate thing that which is very doable. Of course, along with that, government is already working on the long delayed peripheral road. I think we are finally seeing a lot of movement on that, and a peripheral road for Bengaluru will automatically decongest a lot of the movement that is coming into the city. That is what we need to do, which has to be done and which is being done now. And make, like I said earlier, introduce, at least in high density and where there is a lot of movement, pay and park. It's time that we start charging people for using the parking space. And it should not be a free ride where you can just park for hours on end, do whatever you want, and come back and take your car and keep it occupied. So these are small, simple things which are doable, which apart from, of course, public transport and metro and buses, all that we all have to do. But these are the simple measures that we need to do and which is doable. And I would say that let's do that. Yeah.
Thank you. Dr. Narayan.
There are many suggestions, but I would like to say a few, which is doable with the government mindset. First and foremost, subsidizing, bringing down the cost in the metro is very important. Just like what Shakti program is being offered to women, similarly, the same Shakti can be extended to men also. So, I think that can really attract people to travel in public transportation, and as well as making it walkable footpaths to access the public transportation and feeder services. That is also not going to cost much. Immediately, if they can increase the number of feeder services, people can make use of the feeder services to reach the mean. Because many a times, the bus stands, bus stops, the metro, the distance will be more than 0.5 kilometer, 0.3 kilometers. So to have access to the public transportation, probably feeder services is very advantageous. And along with this, taking the planning also, because many times the place of work and place of living is completely different. For even minimum facility like schooling, healthcare also, people need to travel to long distance. Probably addressing these kind of basic issues also can ensure that people commuting can reduce a lot. And coming out with a parking policy is something needs to be taken up now. Pay and park in roads is nothing but acquiring the roads. Instead of that, we need to come out with a parking policy where we can have lots and lots of parking lots, which is viable. We should make it viable instead of just like constructing the commercial complexes. Similarly, complexes can be built for only parking, which can be built not by only government. It can be built by private players. So that can really encourage more and more people to avail the parking lot. That will reduce the parking space on the roads. Now itself, the road sides are not too big, too wide. So these are the few things, and the government should look into it and immediately see how best they can strengthen the public transportation, make it attractive, low cost, and free also.
So I'll stick to my earlier proposal and keep looking long term, and also add the voice of young people, voice of youth, because if we have a living lab and we solve for mobility as a city, we may have a different problem. At least the living lab is there, and it can have a continuous feedback loop about what the city requires and how we need to solve, and we can keep it real time. So I'll use all my magic powers to bring that lab.
Thank you all for such wonderful insights. We all now know what needs to be done, long term, short term, medium term. I think we need another session some other day on how we plan to do it. But at least the what is clear. Thank you so much.